Welcome. Printing's alive, and today we're talking about the biggest stage our industry has, and that's Printing United coming up this October. Now, listen, this isn't just another show with machines lined up and salespeople wanting to pitch. No, this is where the entire world of print comes together under one roof. Every segment, every idea, and every future possibility. If you're a printer like me, and you've asked yourself, should I really go? The answer is yes. The answer is always yes. You should go to every print show there is out there to show support. This is where you discover new revenue opportunities, creative applications, and ways to turn your business into something smarter. It's where you meet your peers, you network, and you realize that you're not alone in this industry. And I could tell you, sometimes we feel alone. And it's not just for owners. Bring your employees. Actually, bringing your employees is the most important thing, and we'll talk about that one later. Bring your future leaders. Let them see that you're a part of this global, vibrant industry because they get inspired. When they're inspired, your shop becomes inspired. This year, the show is leveling up with brand new features. One I'm really happy about, AI Corner, and we all need to embrace that. Sustainability programs, the future of print pavilion, special tours, education sessions that go beyond tech and straight in technology. And today, we've got the guys that are behind this, and we've got Mark Subers and Chris Curran of Printing United. So tell us why the show is simply why you can't, that didn't make sense, but tell us why you can't afford to miss this show. Mark, Chris, welcome.
Yeah, Chris, you
Thanks
want
for having
to
us.
take that one?
Sure, I'm happy to do it. First, let me start out by telling you I'm a printer too, Warren. A lot of people think that we're just this large association of association people. We became association people, but we're born from the printing industry. Mark can talk about his background on the substrate side, and then my background started in printing just outside of Philadelphia when I was just a kid, and it's evolved throughout my career on both sides of the fence. Actually, I would say three sides of the fence. I procured print when I had my own small business. I was part of the equipment side of the industry. And then I was also a printer. Believe it or not, I ran a little print shop too on the Queen Elizabeth II cruise ship. So,
Cool.
running an expo, to which I filled some very big shoes from Mark, doesn't really, it's not, we don't think about it as event organizers. Do we have event organizers on our staff? Sure we do. But when we set out to build Printing United, really 7 years ago, the vision was, how do we make this the best for the entire community, right? Not just, not just one segment or another, not just one kind of printer or another. Really, how can we build one roof that will demonstrate to people exactly what you said, Warren? How can they see more in an experience that will inspire them across the board? And really that mantra is throughout the entire alliance. So people sometimes think, oh, it's just a show. It's not just a show. There's only 3 days of the year that we're talking about. We also build programming 362 days of the year for all other areas of consumption, whether it's iLearning on an online platform, whether it's committees that are helping carve out the path that the alliance is taking. That's why the show is really indispensable to anybody who's whoever's a printer in the ecosystem. In the old days, you used to send the president, maybe the guy who looks at equipment or the production guy. We've got stuff on the floor for the HR, the head of HR. We've got stuff on the floor for the CEO. We have stuff on the floor for the CFO. We have stuff on the floor for all the production people, the finishing people, the people who do procurement. Like it's not just an equipment show anymore. It's really a gathering of the entire ecosystem of the print community and by vertical. So, the show that I used to go to outside of Philadelphia when I was a kid, it's not the same show anymore. It's a very different experience. That was a very transaction oriented expo that was in Philadelphia, right? And it was very local. This is an international show now. It's an experience where all of those disciplines can connect to other people like themselves. They can walk into the Alliance booth as a member because they're all members, and they can say to us, hey, I'm looking to talk to so-and-so. Can you guys connect me with somebody on this subject? And we go, yeah, perfect. Let's go over here to Spill the Ink Zone and talk to other people who want to discuss that topic. So, I know that's a long answer, but we have something for everybody from every walk of the life, from the printer's perspective, to fulfill any kind of need they might have to travel to the show.
Yeah, so when I think about like why attend, I think number one, and I do like the way the show has come together, and our industry has changed, and it's not the days of Graph Expo when they had three giant halls at McCormick and you had to go for 5 days. Everything's consolidated a little, and it is expensive to move equipment around of that size, which we all have to recognize. And even that, I always prefer to go to some of the vendors' customers and see it live in action as opposed to a show where they couldn't do anything other than what they practiced. But what I love about Printing United now is it's just the one roof. Walk around, see and talk to anybody that you want about everything, which makes it really easy. Why would you say the show is so important for printers of all sizes?
Yeah, I'll take that, Chris. And I think it's really building off of what Chris said. You guys use the word inspire quite a bit, and I think that's probably a theme not necessarily intended or talked about, but it's something that we could sort of build off on this conversation because it is inspiring. I mean, I think what Chris described was really an amalgamation of everything that's important in our industry happens in those 3 days, right? So, now when we do our, post-event surveys, why did you come to the show? To see equipment, 90% every time, right? But we've got dozens and dozens of educational things. Warren, we started our new All-Star program. You are one of the All-Stars that are going to be part of our Spill the Ink program. And this is a place it's a new concept. We're trying it out. We're always trying to, reinvent, the event, the expo in general. But this is a place to have real conversations. So you're going to fit in like a glove, to have real conversations printer to printer. So we're always trying to push the envelope, but I do think for all sizes, look, we've got 10 by 10s up to the big exhibitors out there was 6,500, 7,500 square feet, and sort of everything in between. There's a lot of gems to be found in there for all sizes of printers. It is not something, and we've recently had a lot of the folks join us. Chris, who is it? I was getting it mixed up. Is it Sir Speedy or Minuteman? I forget which of the franchises. But we have a lot of franchises are actually running events at our show. A lot of them are taking part of it. So we have everything, something for pretty much everybody. Like you said, from smaller shops all the way up to the larger, entities across every segment.
So I was going to ask a question, but I'm going to answer it. What do you say to owners who sit on the fence about going? So I'm answering this, folks, because I'm a printer and I've been to like 30 of these shows, the annual plus all the little ones. You go because it helps to teach you, it helps you to learn, it helps you to see what's going on. You go because sitting in your office and sitting in your desk does absolutely nothing for your brain. It does not open it up. There's no dopamines coming in. There's nothing. You just sit there like the angry old printer and bitch and complain. So stop bitching and complaining. When you always want your parents to go away on vacation? Well, your employees want you to go away. And you know what? When you go away, they tend to do better than when you're there. And that's just the rule of thumb, and I can't tell you why. So definitely go and definitely, learn something.
Yeah, Mark, let me give you a little slogan too. It probably doesn't translate well because the double negative in it. But if you don't want to grow, don't go to the show. Right? No, it's really simple. And don't send people to the show and don't try to find new things. I do want to mention too, off of what Mark was saying, like with the Spill the Ink Zone. Look, this is kind of taking a life of its own. And Warren, you'll be brought into it with the All Stars. One of the administrators of the SBA, one of the field administrators that does small business loans. She actually comes from a background of a print shop. She's been to our show 4 times, and now she's seeing all of the things that we're doing on the Hill with our bipartisan group of congressmen and senators that are working with us to get a better voice behind the industry. When they came to the expo, it was astonishing to them. Like they did not understand the depth and breadth because nobody ever brings it to life except when they walk through a grocery store and somebody says, all this is the printing industry, right? So she's going to be doing a roundtable with probably 15 to 16 of all printers from all sizes, from all verticals, and she just wants to hear, right? She just wants us to spill the ink, like what are the challenges that you're facing, and the fact that we've got her on site doing an activation, we've got the mayor involved, we've got a congressman from Florida who's going to be doing the welcome address to people, we've got the bipartisan committee that some of the representatives are coming. Like, we're finally starting to get this feeling that we're starting to be able to punch our weight. We've got dozens of associations that have their own booth in there. By the way, we don't really feel like we compete with other shows. This is a completely different mission because it's born from the printers. So we like to say by printers for printers, right? So, it's kind of like come one, come all. Great, you have your own show. I don't really care. You're an association. If you have value to add to a printer, you need to be at this event, and we'll make that possible for them. So I hate to digress there, but I wanted to make sure that
No, it's cool. Listen, this is
how important it is.
This is the North American version of Drupa annually, right? We get to come, we get to go. The other thing is I want to just mention to some of the old time printers, you need to stop talking about what was and how the show used to be and what we saw and what we do, because that's no more. That's like when you go to a restaurant, that's like everything else in life. So if I hear you talking about what was, it's not good, it's not this, it's not that, I'm going to give you a little smack. Okay? Because it's enough.
I'm going to challenge you. I don't think this is the North American Drupa. This is a very different experience than going to Drupa. And I've been to multiple myself. Right. I think Drupa is a great place that the world looks at every 4 years where new technology comes out. It is not an annual event like ours, right? Ours is trying to melt together education and innovation and business health. And, we're really trying to make this a personalized experience for every person who is managing in a printing organization. So I love Drupa. I can't wait to go to the next one. But I think that we're trying to build something very different here versus maybe I would say the older models of just a machinery show.
Right. Well, just to clarify, when I reference Drupa, I just mean everybody coming together from everywhere. Yeah. Not about what they're showing or any of that. And I personally thought it was personalized and made for me when I got there, but that's a whole other.
You're Warren. You're the whisperer.
Yeah. I'm the only one who listens to me.
Yeah, and I think it is important, Warren, to acknowledge that, and we know this, right? That the printers, they're in their day-to-day whirlwind, right? And they're running their businesses, and we really appreciate them when they take the time to pop their heads up, go, what can I go to? And then go to that, because, look, running a business like anything else, takes time. So we try to go that extra step for it and try to make it worth everyone's value. And make sure that, that this is, like Chris said, it's the education across the board. How do you run your business? Like, for instance, you mentioned our printing AI Pavilion. Okay, that is as hot a topic right now that can be. We've got a series of speakers coming to talk in our theater there. We've got 6 folks, that are actually sponsoring the area, that are offering AI technology right now. We actually reached out to all of our exhibitors and said, who's offering AI technology and using our unified printing taxonomy in what areas? So we're going to have a big wall that says, here are all the people on the floor. It's going to be the connective tissue, because we're 1 million square feet. You're not going to just find these people. So we're giving an area where you can come and say, oh, that's interesting. These guys have some marketing solutions, and these guys have some manufacturing solutions, et cetera, and be able to go visit them. And we're actually going to be doing some tours as well. So should be, and that's the kind of thing where we're doing something new to address something that's very, very important in the market right now, and want them to walk away. By the way, we also have 7 sessions, education sessions, and 7 sessions in the theater and the pavilion that are centered around AI. 14 different events that are speeches and presentations that people can go to learn more about it. And it's that kind of thing that I think separates us a little bit, because we are looking, and being who we are, and by the printers for the printers, we do have our ear to the ground on what they need. And we hear it on a daily. So that is, we are trying to build that, better mousetrap and make it worth the while. And I personally, at least, want to acknowledge that it is difficult. sometimes to leave a business to go for a few days. So.
Okay, stop. You're making me a little sick here. Okay, I'm a printer. If you're a printer and you don't go to these shows, you're an idiot. Because this is where all the shit goes down. Okay, forget all the fluff and forget all the OEMs and the sponsors, the money and all that. This is where the printer has an opportunity to go and see and do. And you know what? What did we learn at COVID? Everybody could leave your shop for up to 6 months if you had to, and it still survives. So I'm at the point now, maybe because I'm aging a little, right? You guys still have hair. I don't have hair. But I can't listen to any of the nonsense and the side talk. Okay, we have got a tough industry. We have the best industry. We can't live without print. Nobody could live without print. So everyone's got to stop moaning, stop complaining, and jump in. And if you don't jump in, you're going to fall out. And if you fall out, too bad for you. Anyways, that was my little.
I do think that you have the chance to fall out, because this is, like you said, this is where opportunities are uncovered, and the world of printing, I've seen it a million times, different user groups and being with different printer groups, where when they see things on the floor, the light bulb goes off. You know how I could use that? They'll ask the question, does that print on plastic? Yeah, it does. Ooh. Yeah. One of my clients asked me a while back about something that looks just like that. Maybe I can make that work. And it's that kind of inspiration that really, like you said, where it only happens when you're on the floor of a show like this, honestly.
And for me, I used to love to buy stuff from everybody, but my best time at the show was with other people.
Yeah.
People that I'd met, people that I didn't know, people that I now know, conversations that came up, right? Things that I've learned from others. And that's really what it is. It's a people show. Yes, in the old days, they had big equipment, and they had really beautiful women presenting the presses that never worked on them and that whole thing. We won't go there, kind of like the car mechanics and the tool posters. But it's a new world, and we need to embrace it. Excuse me. And I guess the biggest thing is the young people. So the old people have to stop complaining and bitching and about the old way. And if enough people sit around the dinner table with their young kids and listen to them or hang out with them and their friends, they'll catch on quickly to how they talk, how they do things, and what they're thinking of. And then you got to bend a little to conform to it, because fighting it isn't going to help. So grab all your kids in the office, the young people, bring them to the show.
Yeah, we are having a student day, right? So we're definitely doing some of that ourselves and helping organize that. So, Chris could probably give some details around exactly what we're doing. But yes, we understand the importance of that too. And we are trying to be that, that one roof for students all the way up through seasoned professionals. And I do think, like you said, there's something here for everyone. And that's intentional, and it's, built that way to make sure. And then in terms of social, you're right. Some of the best engagements you have. So it's the spill the inks. We've got a series of happy hours, I think, pretty much at every one of our, experiences, on the floor. We also have our After Dark program. So once the dinners are done and, the happy hours, everyone can meet and congregate, which has been really popular. There's always a spot where, when you're in a big city, but everyone can find, their peers again later in the evening if they want to continue the conversation, have social, in a social environment. So
I meet more people at night after dark than I do during the day at the show. I mean, I don't know how that works, but it just is. Okay, so just let's a little bit the AI corner, right? It's going to be practical, hands-on. There's demos for estimating, for sales, workflow, marketing. What can printers expect when they come to the booth, the show, the pavilion? I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. It's the name of it's the Printing AI Pavilion. It's actually a new brand that the Alliance is launching, because we do believe that this area is going to remain extremely important, as it does for every industry as we move forward. So the Printing AI is more than just what's going to be at the show. We're launching this brand. We're going to be doing AI-based newsletters. We're doing community forums. We're expanding some of our shows to include AI workshops next year. So we've embraced this. We understand it's important. As a practical matter, on the floor, like I said, there's a theater, there's folks that are going to be showing their wares right there, including our own. I can't tell you what that's going to be, but a press release will be coming out somewhat shortly, covering that. So hate to leave you hanging, but yeah, it is a spot where people can learn, come and understand as a practical matter how this is being implemented. Our research team is doing a very large 300-person plus follow-up reviews. I just read it yesterday, very in depth about where the adoption's happening, where the progression is, how people are moving forward and where they're moving forward with AI technology. So we will have a session there that basically gives us the underpinning about where we're going to be. And then, people that will actually help you, move it along and think about, next steps of adoption and integration.
Cool. Yeah, AI. I mean, I can't believe anyone who says that they haven't used AI or they're not using AI or they're waiting to see what happens. If you're waiting to see what happens with AI, just close your doors and get out of business. You already have to be running on it. And I always say this, make sure you're paying for AI. Don't be cheap and use the free one. Don't do what one printer did using the free one, uploaded all of his financial documents. And if you knew the name, you can go on chat and find it. But we're not going there. Don't make those
That's
mistakes.
a bad idea.
Yeah, very, very bad idea. Tell me a little bit about the future of Print Pavilion and what's going on there and what printers could expect.
Print Pavilion, when you say that, you mean our membership pavilion?
Well, it says you have the future, yeah, like what's happening with the future of the print, how we're moving, bringing people in.
Sure.
Like, what's the goal?
So we don't actually have a Print Pavilion,
Okay.
but we do have the Printing United Alliance membership booth.
Perfect. I stand
lounge
corrected
as well. So that might be what you mean.
Exactly what I mean.
One of the things that we're showcasing there is iLearning, right? I would say that that's one of the star things in addition to all of the affinity partners that are part of that booth. But the membership booth has evolved through the years. But we invested millions of dollars in a couple of things, right? So we invested millions of dollars in iLearning. We've invested millions of dollars in the apparel community to build that into a community. We put a media brand behind it. We put events behind it. You're going to see the manifestation of every segment now in the iLearning platform, and that's really important to state that it's not just for our printer members, it's for the future of the printers, right? So if you're not aware of this, you should be. We now offer free membership to every educational institution and all of the students, right? So we actually expect Student Day this year to be probably the largest we've ever had. And the foundation of Printing United Alliance actually pays for all of those memberships, right? So I expect people to be able to see one of the reasons that we're supporting that is because we're also learning as we go. We're making iLearning the place to go internationally for education. So we're rolling out 6 new languages. We're seeing a tremendous engagement spike from across the globe. And it's because it's the one place you can go to learn about label, you can learn about promo and apparel. You can learn about commercial. You can learn about the fundamentals of color. So when you ask me how we're driving the future, we're building what we set out to do 7 years ago. We're trying to build a highway system of education. Regardless of where you're sitting in the world, we want a place where people can go to learn about print. Is that going to be surfaced in AI? Sure, I expect it to be surfaced in AI. Are we going to surface it ourselves with our own AI technology? You betcha. But we're doing it because the printers need to be able to find access to information simple, and be able to connect the dots outside of, let's just call it a normal search engine search, right? We need to be able to give them profound insights, profound to-do lists. Like if I want to get into the apparel community, if I want to get into promotional products, how do I accomplish that at the show? Mark started that with some, what are those called? Opportunity cards, Mark?
Conversion.
Like if I want to get into label, how do I learn about label? If I want to get into promo, how do I learn about promo? We're now going to surface that for people in a much more natural way, and the manifestation of that's going to be seen in the booth.
Cool. We mentioned students. I just want to point out, I hear from a lot of people, I've heard, oh, the students are coming. They want to take all the free stuff. They're here to grab. Listen, if you're listening to me right now and students are there, make the effort, talk to them. If you're an OEM, ask them a question. If you're a printer, Ask them a question, and ask them smart questions, not stupid questions. Show them that we care. Show them that we want to promote our industry. Show them that we're good with what's going on. Okay? Get rid of the negative shit. It's enough already. Watch what you wish for. You keep doing that, and you're not going to have anyone to work for you.
100%.
Anyways, that was just a mini commercial.
No, you're absolutely right. Listen, I think a lot of these printers look at these students as potential transactions. Like, I have a job, I'm going to put
we were all students.
We were all students, but I think one of the things I think printers, the really good printers do well, is they build a systematic program to indoctrinate a young person, right?
And embrace them.
They spend some time in production. They spend some time in pre-press. They spend some time on the road with the sales team. They spend some time being a CSR. They run the job jackets around. Like, if you embrace educating these young people on what the ecosystem of a true manufacturing environment looks like, whether it's apparel, wide format, commercial, or all of the above, like, they will reward you with loyalty, and it might take a year to invest in that education, and you're getting some return on that because there's an extra body around, but that person will probably stay with you for much longer had you not looked at them like a transaction just filling a job.
So true. Well, you know what? A lot of and this is off topic a little, but a lot of the older printers don't have patience, right? Which is a problem, because even when they want salespeople, they bring them in, they know it takes 18 months, and after 4 months, they're getting pissed off that there's no sales. So same thing all around. So if you're getting old, get out. If you're getting old, you feel young, talk to young people, you'll feel younger, but embrace them, put your arm around them, hug them, tell them you love them, tell them you need them, tell them they're valuable. We've got to stop pushing them away and saying, oh, they do this. I hate the labels and the tags and all that stuff. And really, if you all go look at your own kids, you'll figure out that they're all the same. So anyone else's kids are like your kids, and talk to them the same way. Like, it's just right. Anyways, go on from there. Let's talk about some sustainability. Right.
Hey, Warren, before we jump into that real quick, Chris had mentioned something, and I don't want to forget it because it's pretty important.
And you're getting old, so yeah, speak it up.
I'll forget it in 3 seconds from now. So I'm almost 60, Warren. So I'm getting there. See the gray hair? So
hello, I'm not 60 and I have no hair.
So Chris had mentioned color. And I think we wouldn't be doing our due diligence if we didn't mention that the color standard that we support, G7 and now G7 Plus, which is a new standard. They're actually having an event called Exchange that they're inviting brands, printers, OEM suppliers to be part of this conversation. And I think the final conversation in the room is a mix, a panel of all of them, and it's sort of the whole value chain. Why does the brand care? Why does their agency support it? Why does the printer have to work? Right? So on and so forth down the line. And how does that relate to the folks that are providing equipment, et cetera? So it's just going to be a really important part. It happens the day before the show. So that's where, people are going to be gathering to learn about the new G7 Plus standard and also engage with their people. So you talk about bringing young people in and that sort of a group.
Yeah.
There's a group of color experts. And again, to getting back to what Chris said at the very beginning, we're trying to provide something for everybody, right? So if you're that pre-press guy, if you're the color guy that for your printing organization, this is a reason for you to come, a very, very strong reason for you to come. And we've got, Chris, what are some of the major brands that have come? And I know they're coming to this as well.
Yeah.
Apple. Right?
You got Apple, Nestle, Coke, Pepsi, Frito-Lay. Matter of fact, I just spoke with somebody last night from Amazon. He wants to talk about how digital is enabling a better e-commerce workflow. So we could name drop all day long about the brands, but I think those 5 alone are a really good reason to try to bump into them at the show if you're a printer.
Yeah, no, listen, we were a G7 certified company from the day we were started, and we were able to do it. And if nothing else, so there's a couple things just quickly, because you brought up G7. So number one, it helps you elevate the level of work you do in the shop. You save money when you do it because you're managing all of your controls and everything. But more importantly, it just lets people know that you're ongoing continuing education. And what you have to do with G7 is you don't do it just at the beginning of the year when they come in and certify you. You got to double check throughout the year a couple of times and keep checking, right? But it lets everyone know what you're doing. And if you don't care for any of that, that's okay. do the G7 and use it in your marketing. Let people know that you are. So for the few $1,000, or I don't even know how much it costs anymore. I think you buy one, you get one free or something. No, don't quote me because you'll be mad at me. But the truth is, whatever it costs and every certification you do, right? Aside from elevating your shop and making your people inside work better together and teaching them and learning them, your marketing dollars are going into that. So if you are certified and you're not using it for marketing, use it for marketing.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things for this year, Warren, is this is the first year we're doing it, and I think we set aside a room that held maybe 100 people. Well, we passed by that in like the first week and a half of letting people register for it. So I don't know where I think we had to do a hard line because we just don't have the space. So, but I think it's up to, I think we're going to draw the hard line to about 250 people. So it is very highly successful as a year one, and I love to see that continue on because it's, you know, as you just laid out the reasons for its importance.
If somebody's listening to this and they want to register, they need to register fast. We're at about 200. It's called the G7 Exchange, and you can find information about it on printingunited.com. But it's going to be an amazing community gathering the day before the show.
And it's good for brands. It's good for printers, right? Good for OEMs, anybody that's involved in that, you know, that food chain there of, you know, value chain of color consistency.
I got a better one. If you're a printer, bring your brand customers with you and show them what you do and show them how you invest and how you are learning to make your life better, your people's lives better. But really, the most important thing is you're doing it to help the brands enhance what they do and have consistency.
100%.
Okay. That was a free unpaid commercial, by the way. Okay, let's no, you know what? I happen to love print. I love everything about it. And as I get a little older, I'm getting a little crankier, and I'm going to get a little wilder on what I think people need to do and to remember and to listen, because people just waste their time by not doing things. And when they do realize it later, it's like, oh shit, why didn't I do that? So if I could scream at you and get you to do it a little sooner, then I've done my part in trying to promote print and keep it alive, you know, and vibrant. Alive and vibrant. Now we're going to talk about sustainability, because you need to be sustainable if we want to be alive and vibrant. What do we got going on for people at the expo about sustainability?
Yeah, I think there's sustainability is one of those things where it's only important until somebody asks for it. If it has extra cost, a lot of printers don't lead with it, nor do they really seek it out unless there is a commercial reason to do so, which I'm not saying is the wrong methodology. There are other printers that lead with it, right? Who actually try to lead with it, whether it's wind power or zero, or they say carbon neutral facilities or technologies. And I think it's one of those things that people say, well, do you have it? You know, or is it part of the workflow? If it is a huge plus, and it's really removing an obstacle that could come up later when producing for clients. There isn't a major I'm not allowed to talk about which suppliers, but I am going to say there isn't a major OEM that hasn't embraced the sustainability message. So every place you go, if you talk to the exhibitors, they should have an understanding of where their sustainability value proposition is. You could look at some of the most largest organizations, and all of their equipment is zero emissions now, right? But even down to the smallest organizations, let me even take it one step further. I want to go down to the floor. When you look at how we clean the show, right? How the carpet is produced. There are people that are now recycling the carpet. There is signage on our floor by one of the exhibitors that's actually completely recyclable, and they want to recycle on the floor, and the show's moving out. So, you know, the sustainability is dare I say, a thread that is now being woven into every part of the business. And if it's important to you and it's important to your clients, make sure you're asking those questions, because a lot of times people don't lead with it, but they do have a solution for it when asked. And if they don't, it's probably an area for them to work on.
Okay, so this is my take on sustainability. All right. Whether I believe it or not, whether the world is actually recycling everything or not, it's where you have to be, and you have to have it in your bag of talk, right? You have to be doing it. When I had the company, we were extremely sustainable in that I was part of FSC, SFI, or PEFC, FSI, whatever. There's 3 of them. Can't remember it right now. We did all of that. We talked about how we moved things around, recycled, picked up. So again, for the printers listening, you need to, whether you believe it or not, irrelevant, but you need to do it. You need to be involved in it. And again, it's marketing. Everything in our business is marketing that you do. Yes, it'll help everybody along the way and all that other stuff. But from a business perspective, if you're not doing it, you got nothing to talk about. You've already one step behind your competition when you go see somebody.
Yeah, I would even say if you're not doing it, you need to. But whatever you do decide to do, you have to be authentic with it, right? Because it is a fail point if you're not authentic. If you're just saying I have this or I have that or I have the WW World Wildlife Foundation sticker or the
You're going to go with the Wrestling Federation. I know where you were going.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Like we pay extra to have recycling at my home, but I live in a very long road that only has like 12 people at the end of it. And it, without a doubt, every week when the trash comes, they pick up the recycling and they pick up the trash and they put it in the same truck. And then from a procurement perspective, you know, I used to source products and packaging out of Indonesia. And when I visited the factory one time, I was talking about the FSC certification. It looked a little off on the box. And he said, well, did you want the real one or did you want just the stamp that we paid $500 for? And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, there is faults in the sustainability chain because a lot of people are eager to get the nod of approval or check the box. But if you're going to do it, be authentic about it. Have authentic options so that, you know, what you're demonstrating to be part of the sustainable progress is true to the meeting.
Yeah, and as far as the accreditation and those companies that for the sustainability, like as a printer, it's a bit of a scam too. $4,000 when they're coming in to audit, and you've only done 4 jobs with 3 dockets. So once the paper's made and it's certified in the box, I mean, the printer doesn't really have to be certified that he's going to put the paper in the right job and not mix it up with another, because that's what we do. So if SFI is or FSI, whatever's listening, drop your price. There's no reason anymore because printers are dropping you, and nobody really cares for the logo anymore. But I think more and more companies are buying the right products, the right consumables, the right paper. More of it's made that way. So even if you're not into it, you're getting it anyways, right? It's a win-win.
Yeah.
But the point is, you have to know about it. You have to educate yourself. Do what you want with it. But it's really good to have it because your employees care, the young people care. I want to bang out all the nonsense, all the extra fees, because it's already expensive for us to do business and then to take on more. And the customers never want to pay for it. They just want it, right? Another thing. But okay, cool. One of the bigger things, and we mentioned it before, is the education sessions, right? So one or both of you give us and the listeners some, like, you know, lowdown on like what's awesome, what you're excited about.
Mark, do you want me to start or do you want to go?
Well, I think we can just separate things. Chris, why don't you go with the off floor and I'll go with the on floor because there's really two flavors here.
Yeah, let me talk to you about the off floor. Number one, it's very, very difficult to sift through the enormous amount of education that people want to offer at the expo. And, you know, there's all different kinds of motivations when people want to offer education. And I'll even use the quotation marks education there. You know, there is a very difficult job by our staff to go through the hundreds of applications of people wanting to, in some cases, sell their wares, in others, educate printers. And we have to sift through all of that to distill it down to what is education, because that's what we're promising the attendees, right? We promise them that experience. It doesn't mean that some of the people that are speaking don't have wares to sell, but you know, making sure that their message is positioned in the right way, where it's not a sales pitch, it really truly is education, is very difficult. So I say that because there's probably some of the people who are listening are saying, why didn't my content get chosen for a session? It's because if you've got 400 applications and you've got to distill that down to 50, we're taking the 50 that we feel like are going to have the most impact for the communities. You know, even, unfortunately, we saw an association have to close their doors earlier this year, Explore. But we also feel like it's a wonderful community that really does need a home for education. So immediately we looked at that and said, okay, well, some of those slots need to be earmarked for that community that just lost a home. So if nobody, first of all, we didn't do it, nobody was going to do it. So we felt like we needed to step up and help that community find a path to keeping the glue that binds them together. So we created education in that area. And then, of course, there's education in sustainability. There's education in label. There's education in workflow. There's education in, promotional products. One of the things that we announced was another partnership with another association. We're actually going to give them close to 50,000 square feet at next year's show, the ASI Institute. So, we're trying to build all of this education to truly demonstrate the path that the Alliance is on. And again, don't forget, everything that we're hearing is from our members. So when you see the manifestation of the 400 applications to 50, it's because we measure everything in our data warehouse. What's resonating online? What's resonating in our e-news? What's resonating at our live events, our micro events? What's resonating on our committees? What's resonating with the board? Like, we take all that into consideration when we try to score out and map out what education we're going to give. So there is 50 education sessions, might be 51 because Amazon asked to speak last night, and I think they've got a powerful message. So we take great pride in trying to build the best system we can for those sessions.
Yeah. And I'll also point out, and anyone listening, because, there's always people with comments, good and bad, but, I always take a step back when I see something or I don't like something, and I just say, oh my God, I'm just so happy I'm not the guy organizing this show, because it's got to be a nightmare. There's just so many, all the logistics of the people and the sessions and this and moving people around. And if everybody just thinks about their own business and what they go through, man, give Printing United a break if you're one of those complainers out there. Okay, because it's not easy, and just be happy you get to come, walk through, and leave, and not have to do with anything else. Because I do take my hat off, and I said it earlier, I love all shows. The other reason you should go to a show is if you go to a show, selfishly, you learn everything you see, you meet, but as a group, statistically, it makes our industry stronger, right? The more numbers, the bigger it is. We got to start telling people. And by the way, I'll be speaking if you're listening to this, and I'm doing a pro print talk. I'm not talking about anything about selling equipment or any of that nonsense. I'm just going to talk about print. I'm going to talk about passion. I'm going to talk about why the whole world can't live without us, because without print, no business operates, whether they think about it or not, right? No instructions, no directions, no anything. But anyways, move on for that.
Yeah. Warren, you want a little snapshot of some of the on-floor stuff we're doing?
Sure.
I could run through that real quick. So we talked about the All-Stars. Obviously, there's a lot of peer-to-peer interaction that's going to happen there, right? So I would certainly lump that in the education category. We talked about our Printing AI Pavilion. There is a theater there. We're going to have, I think, probably about 10 sessions on the floor inside of the pavilion itself, including, hope this finalizes, but Adobe gave me a verbal yesterday to come and talk about their roadmap with Creative Suite, especially as it applies to embellishments and AI. Very, very interesting. There, obviously, everyone in our industry uses it. A quick little ChatGPT look about what we invest as a printing and packaging industry. It's about $750 million in Creative Suite. So I'd love to see those guys. They threw it out there that's what they could do. They'd love to be a part of it. So, hopefully that'll come through. We also have some favorites here, our Apparel Zone and Apparelist Theater. So Apparel Zone is education as much as we break it down into 4 different printing applications or technologies, really. So people can come and try their hand and figure that out. We also have a series of educational sessions in the Apparelist. That's our brand's theater. That will dive deep into some of the topics. Obviously, I think the G7 Plus exchange is going to have a lot of information, a lot of education. As part of it, we also have our PDAA zone. So like you said, there's a lot of moving parts here. Chris has my old responsibilities for running it, and I am thankful every day. He's a lot younger than I am, so he's got the energy. But yeah, at PDAA, we're going to have, you can come test your skills. Rivet walls. There's, I think, a Mustang hood that you can come try to wrap, et cetera, et cetera. So, lots of competitions, lots of education, and like Chris said earlier, pretty much across the board. I don't think there's anybody we're really leaving out here. And Chris, great get on the Explorer. I almost forgot about that. We're doing a whole educational track around the Explorer folks, and their concern around the enterprise printing.
And if you're going to the show and you really want to take everything in, you're going to realize that like 2 days isn't even enough.
Well, I think right? One of the overarching things we talk about, Warren, this is prep. Okay, you can't just walk into this and just be like, I'm just going to walk around. Okay, it's 1 million square feet, over 800 exhibitors, education sessions on the floor, off floor. There's just a lot to take in, and it's best to just download the mobile app. Pick your spots, be ready, set meetings ahead of time with the folks that you really, really want to talk to. We're going to have a very nice label presence this year, because every time we do our convergence study, okay, label is the target of most other segments of the industry in terms of potential growth area. So we've tried really hard. We've added folks like Domino, Mprint, and others. I know that, Screen, Durst. I'm trying to think of the others that are going to be bringing label technology, including the folks that we've just added. So pretty excited about our presence around label technology.
And for all the printers who want to get into labels, it's not just the machines you have to know. I'm involved in a label business, and it's brutal. Don't just listen to everyone about how great and growing it is. Same thing with packaging. Like I just always want to put out to the printer, whenever you're hearing how great something is, it is great. But it isn't just great. There's a lot of moving parts to get to it, and not everyone succeeds to greatness. So just make sure, like, you're going to plan to go to the show, plan any investments you're going to make, and make sure you do it right.
Yeah, Warren, it's really interesting that 2 years ago, or maybe even 3 at this point, we had someone come, and they were on our first tour of the apparel zone. And commercial printer, very interested, getting an apparel decoration, wanted to see all about it, learned all about it, went back to a shop and said, you know what, I'm just going to buy somebody. Okay, so there's always that, how are you going to approach it? Are you going to build it, or are you going to buy it? And those are the kind of things that you can learn, right? What are table stakes for investment into this area? Okay, do I want to make that? Do I have the skills? Do I have the workflow? Do I have the right people to sell it, and do the manufacturing piece of it? So maybe you do, maybe you want to start, or maybe you want to buy, and then you can meet people there as well. So it is where, it is one of the largest shows in the world around this area. So, yeah.
I was going to say, you have to be smart going to the show, right? You can use your vendors. You could use the people that you meet that to introduce you to others that are doing it, team up with them.
100%.
Plenty of people would like to take your work knowing it's only short term, because you're going to eventually buy your own, but they get to fill their volume while they find some other business. And big thing to everybody, don't give anything away to anybody. Everything costs money. My message to all printers is you charge. If you're a low cost charger, I'm not happy. I'm going to give you a smack. Profit. You need profit. No, you need profit to build your business. You need profit to bring people to the shows. Profit just allows you to do everything that you want to do in life, right? And we don't hear enough about profit. So just be profitable. You have a couple tours happening around this year.
We do, certainly, Warren. So again, I'll lead back to the AI side of things. Like I said, I think we are up to 50 responses or so in terms of what AI people are going to be showing. We'll have that list, like I said, up on the AI wall. We obviously can't do a tour of 50 different exhibitors. So we'll start in the AI Pavilion. We'll walk around there, and see what they have to offer. So it's Direct Mail 2.0, it's Significance, it's some others, GoMake. etc. And then we will, pick some things that we think are most impactful for people to learn and add them onto the tour. So that's one of the tours that's happening. Chris, I'm trying to think of what other on the road tours we have there.
Yeah, there's some other activations I think that are going to be exciting on the floor. If I think about embellishments, like that's an actual, that's an area that is of, let's say, growing interest, right? Because it adds value to print. And if you're not doing it, I'd be surprised that you call yourself.
Why don't we talk about the investment first before we talk about the, because that's what's killing me with the printers. You need to know what you're investing. I love embellishments, but make sure you're the right printer.
I think you have to make sure you're in the right place. I think you have to know when you're wielding that opportunity, right? Because some clients it's important to, and other clients it's not. And then there's another segment of clients that don't know what the value could be for them.
So you get an opportunity. You have to ask the questions to the other printers, ask the questions to the vendors, ask what it costs, and ask how many jobs you have to do to cover that machine.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people in embellishments, right? So we actually have a couple of activations, one with Color Logic, where we're going to be doing some, a signing was very, let's call it,
I'm aware.
Friendly stuff. And then you've got Tactful, who's going to be running a tour activation where they're going to show you their partners. So, we're open arming that new, let's say, vocabulary and initiative. I think it's sort of shining a light on something that's existed for a very long time, and digital technology is democratizing the use into smaller runs to a degree. It's the adoption rate could be something that we could discuss, but it is an area of interest. So, we're opening up the floor to that conversation. And we hope that printers will investigate it, because they're competing against it if somebody's invested in the equipment. Embellishment.
I'm just going to say, speaking as a printer, the number one item that's embellished is business cards. You got to sell 1 billion business cards to cover that machine.
I'm
not happy.
Folding carton is
not for digital, though.
not for digital.
But anyways, I love the shot, the glimmer. My whole thing is that I don't ever want to sound negative. I just don't want printers to make mistakes financially, because it's hard to crawl out when you spend the money. So just everybody use the show to educate yourself in every area that you want. How's that for?
No, it's great push. And that's where I really do believe on that topic alone, you need to educate. If you're not bringing your salespeople to this show, you're making a huge mistake, because they're the people who are out there looking at all of the people that are paying for your labor to work for them. So they're the ones that see the applications. They're the ones that can say, I can sell this to that client. And it doesn't have to be coming off the end of a machine. It can be part of the sample kit. But if you don't have, if you're a large shop or a large business and you don't have, I would even say your top 50% of your salespeople invested in going to that show and walking the floor for new ideas on how to make you money, you're making a huge mistake.
So I'll just tell you quickly, because I remember being at a show way back when, and a lot of owners that were there, and I'm listening to conversations and whatever's going on, and I was actually speaking, and I stopped what I was speaking, and I said, stop. I looked around, I said to everybody, I go, where are all the young people? Where are all the young people? I said, because you're all owners, but you're all bitching and complaining. You're not even listening to me. You're on your phones checking your mail. I said, the real issue is when you go back to the office, you're going to remember nothing. When you bring young people that are energized and want to learn, these are the benefits. Number one, you've empowered them and you've made them feel like they're recognized because you've pointed them out and you're bringing them. You're spending money and you're investing. The biggest thing about bringing somebody young is they, like a sponge, will remember everything and see everything and go back to your office and talk about everything. You as an owner, I'm going to bet this happens. You go to the show, you see some people, you give a hi, you have a drink, you have a cheer. Maybe you see one or two things, but you forget everything. And when you get back to the office, you don't even talk about the show. And that's the problem. That's why you need to bring somebody so that they could talk. We've seen too many shows.
Well, the good news is, Warren, we're Chris, I'm assuming this is still the case, 20+% up over last year in terms of audience. So hopefully they're taking your advice and they are bringing all the other people from their show.
Yeah.
It's really, there's pre-press, there's production, there's post, right? There's C-suite. There's something for everybody at the show for sure.
And how do we want younger people to get involved? right? You bring younger people so that they can go back and talk to other younger people and spread the word. Because print, I mean, I never got dirty because I never worked on a press, but you're not getting dirty anymore. Ink's coming in canisters. Folding machines have presets. Like, it's a different world. The front of a press is a computer game watching the cameras and the sheets go through.
Chris, didn't
right?
you climb under a press in the QE2?
Yes, I did. I had to fix it at sea, so I had to literally lay underneath it in the oil and watch it move around to figure out what was broken. And we fixed it at sea. I'm proud to say it was in the South Atlantic with about 30-foot seas, if I remember correctly. We were moving.
Cool. I would have had a fishing rod off the back trolling while doing that, you know. But wow. So, if anything else that anybody here wants to bring up or say, I think we covered quite a bit. I think I try to get the message across, folks. Come to the show and bring young people.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm sure Orlando, October 22nd and 24th, just for the actual location and dates, if anyone that doesn't know. But yeah, totally agree. It's a lot of hard work, but it's a labor of love. I've been in this industry for over 30 years. Chris is not quite as old as I am, but we've got Ford and Dave Laskusky and our whole senior team, and including James Martin. I don't even want to tell you how many years we all have. We're into the triple digits for sure. And this is something we're doing because we believe in the industry and we're part of it. And, we really want to, see this show be everything it can be to the folks that join.
Any discounts for Disney? Once we're going to Orlando,
check at the entrance gate. They might
check at the cool.
Well, we're definitely. Chris set up something that the Bright Line, so that goes all through Florida and originates in Orlando, is actually giving. Cool. Is it discounts, Chris, or free rides? I forget what. Discounted rides. So anywhere
I can go to Boca after.
Yeah,
you can go to Boca. You'll be there in an hour and a half.
And listen, we've lined up free entertainment. So the first night of the show, if you look out towards the east, up into the sky, if it's clear, you'll get to see a Falcon 9 launch. So enjoy that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I was on a plane above the clouds and watched one of the rockets after.
Good.
Which was pretty
so hopefully they keep the launch schedule. We'll be able to take that in.
Excellent.
Awesome.
So another reminder to everybody listening. Coming to the show, it's not an expense. It's an investment in your business. It's an investment in the future. It's an investment in your people.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Warren.
Right.
Appreciate it, Warren. Thanks so much for the time.
Oh, listen, thank you. Everybody listening, if you're at the show and you've listened to the podcast, come say hello to me. Love to meet you. Guys, thanks for coming on. This is the show of the year. This is what we all need, and I'm happy to be able to help to promote it because I'm always a believer in the shows. Awesome. Everybody else listening, hope to see you there. As always, if you want to be on my show, reach out to me. If you've got something you want to say, reach out to me. If you don't reach out to me, keep it to yourself. Otherwise, we will see you again, and everybody just keep on printing. I love printing.
Awesome.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone.